Today we're going to look at subtracting mixed numbers and some keys to success. First thing we need to do is find a common denominator if necessary. Remember to change the numerator too. So if you mess with the bottom number, you need to also change the top number the same way. Now there's kind of two options, and one option would be to convert the mixed numbers to improper. Some people really like this. If you're really good with mixed to improper and then improper back to mixed, that's a great option. Another option would be the borrowing option of fraction, where you borrow a whole and you give it to the fraction. It's very similar to just normal whole number subtraction. It's just we're using same ideas, we just have fractions involved, and then we subtract, and then we will even look and simplify if needed. Let's take a look at our first problem here. We have 4/5 minus 1/6. Now the first thing we need to do is look at those bottom numbers, and they are not the same. So one of the many strategies we could use, we can cross multiply to help us find our common denominator. 5 times 1 is 5. 4 times 6 is 24. We get our bottom number by multiplying the 5 times 6, which is 30. Now we can rewrite our fractions. 24 30ths minus 5 30ths. We take 24 minus 5 is 19 30ths, and that is our answer for this question. So what do we do if we have a mixed number, mixed numbers that we're subtracting? And then more than that, what happens if we have to borrow? What would that look like? I mentioned that we could create improper fractions. Now the nice thing about this problem is that our bottom numbers are the same. So you can see in the green, I turned these into improper fractions. So you can see 8 1/3, I did 8 times 3 is 24 plus 1, and then 2 2/3 here, I turned into 8/3. Now I have my work, I was just trying to, and this is what the work would look like. You can see how I did 8 times 3 plus 1, that's how I got my 25, and then 3 times 2 plus 2 will give me the 8/3. Now I am able to then take 25/3 minus 8/3 equals 17/3, and we like to make that a mixed number. It just looks a little bit better. So I showed some work. We could do a little division problem. As you can see here, I took 17/3. 17 went on the inside, and 3 was a divisor on the outside. Goes in 5 times with 2 left over, or 5 remainder 2, and we can turn our quotient and remainder into our fraction. The quotient is the whole number. The 2, you can see, is the numerator, and the bottom number, the 3, is the same denominator that we had from the original problem. There's also another way that we could approach this problem, which is hiding under this box. We have 8 1/3 minus 2 2/3. Now what I did here was I took 8 1/3 and I borrowed. I took 1 as a whole number from the 8. I took away 1 here, and I gave 3/3 to the fraction. So my 8 dropped down to a 7. You could see my 8 went to a 7, and then I just did 1/3 plus my 3/3 gives me 4/3. So now I can do 7 4/3 minus 2 2/3, and you can see I did get the same answer of 5 2/3. That's just two ways to do the problem. It really depends on personal preference. Some people really get the borrowing and prefer the second method. Others struggle with understanding how to borrow, so they like to choose to do the improper to mixed. The amount of work is okay as long as we're getting our right answer. So it's not about how much work we do, it's about our end result, and both of these ways do give us our correct answer we're looking for. All right, our next question, we have 4 1/4 minus 2 2/3. First thing I need to take a look at are my denominators. I have a 4 and a 3. They are not the same, unfortunately, so that means we have to do a little bit of work. All right, so first thing I need to do is let's get some common denominators. I'm going to write that work over here so it's a little easier to follow. Okay, I'm going to do 1/4 minus 2/3. 4 times 2 is 8. 3 times 1 is 3. and then 4 times 3, we multiply straight across, we get 12s. Now I have common denominators, so I'm going to rewrite this with common denominators. So it's 4 and 3/12 minus 2 and 8/12. And if you haven't noticed yet, take a look at our numerators. Houston, we have a problem. Looks like we are going to be borrowing. Okay, now in this case, the most common mistake is, since you can't do 3 minus 8, some kids will go backwards, but it's not legal mathematically. So what we need to do is we need to borrow, or I will show you we can turn it to improper. So first I'm going to show you borrowing. If we take 1 from the whole number and we add 1 as a fraction. Okay, so my 4 minus 1 is 3, and now I have 3/12 plus 12/12 is 15/12. Very important here to make sure that you keep your 3/12 when adding. Sometimes kids will turn this into 3 and 12/12. Not quite right. The second fraction we don't have to do much with. Actually, we don't do anything with. Now we have common denominators. Now we have our first fraction. The numerator's big enough to subtract, so now we just finish it off. 3 minus 2 is 1. 15/12 minus 8/12 is 7/12. So my answer is 1 and 7/12. Now, let's show you the work for if we made it improper. Coming back to my 4 and 3/12 minus 2 and 8/12. Another thing that we could do, we could turn this into improper. We take 4 times 12 plus 3. 4 times 12 is 48, plus 3 more is 51/12. Minus, and then we do 2 times 12 is 24, plus 8 more is 32/12. 51 minus 32 is 19. So we get 19/12 for our answer, but we're not satisfied with that. We need to simplify that. And I know that 12/12 is 1. So I'm kind of setting up a little math problem here. 12/12 plus 7/12, I kind of split it up. And the reason why I split it up is because I can rewrite this as a 1, and then I have my 7/12, and then simplify that to 1 and 7/12. Good news is our answers match. Hope this helps.